All right, so this is a typical classroom. You can see there's the main teaching wall on this side, excuse me, secondary teaching wall opposite. What many of you are up against, there's built-in casework. That's tons of storage, but it's also a working surface, right? Standing working surface. And also there's ductwork that's dropping down inside here and feeding air through those grills down at the bottom. That air, it's called displacement delivery, or displacement air. That air rides along the floor, and it's efficient for a number of reasons. First of all, it comes out slower than air from above that you have to push through the hot zone up here to get it to the people down below. It comes there, so it's slower. You can push it slower. So you can run fans at lower speeds. That's one cause of efficiency. And then you can deliver the air at a higher temperature, closer to the temperature you're after, because you're not mixing all the hot air that's up here. All that stays there, comes out here slow. What happens is it looks for, I treat it like it's a person, right? It looks for. Anyway, the air goes until it finds a chimney. You and me, we're putting off heat, me particularly, right? It finds a chimney, and then it goes from the floor and it rides up, and it creates some air movement across you, bringing that cooler air across you into the hot zone. With it goes particulate, so about half, the air is about about double as clean of particulate and germs as air from regular forced air systems. And what happens is it rises up, and then there's return in this slot that you see over here. So the air returns in there. This is a pretty typical setup. All of our classrooms are like this. The science rooms are similar. We'll see one. The ceiling slopes, bouncing light just a little further into the room. You'll see, these big windows to let a lot of natural light in. The idea is to make it so that as much as possible, you've got daylight autonomy. What that means is that people can work without the use of electric lighting. You never get completely, but it's set up so that as much light can come in as possible, but you need useful light, right? So if the light's beaming in and it's beaming on that wall, what's going to happen? The teacher's going to come in and lower the shades. And then all that work to bring in natural light, doesn't do anything. They lower the shades, they turn on the lights. So you'll see these exterior sunscreens. Here, if you look this way, there's a metal sunscreen at the large window because of the direction the light is coming. As you can imagine, this building has a lot of different orientations with these wings shooting off in different directions. And each sort of exposure, each exterior exposure, requires a different need in terms of how to block light. So some of the facades have a single vertical sunscreen. Some of them have horizontal sunscreens. Some of them have three sunscreens across. You'd see them in that. We might see that across the hall. And each of them block light differently based on its exposure. Northern-facing facades don't have them, right? Because it's north.
These are polished concrete floors?
No, this is linoleum. When we were in the lower cafeteria, that was polished concrete. All right, let's go to a science room. Yeah. This is a typical science room for the 7th and 8th grades. The 6th grade is laid out a little bit differently. It has a typical classroom similar to that, and then it has a math and science room, and so it's a little bit smaller and it's laid out differently. It also has in the 6th grade, it has an operable partition between a classroom for humanities and a science math room for STEM teaching, and that's a team. Maybe we'll see one of those. So this room obviously is very similar to a typical classroom, but it's got all the science casework around here. It'll have furniture that creates kind of working peninsulas off of each sink. It's got lots of storage. The the main teaching wall, but it doesn't have the opposite teaching wall because of all the casework, right? So that's why it's got these sliding whiteboards with storage behind them. Same idea for air delivery, windows, etc. Power reels on either end for project work in the center. All right, so we're going to go back into the hall, and we're going to go down to the end to the neighborhood collaborative areas. You can see all of the classrooms and science rooms and academic spaces are along the perimeter. In the center are all sorts of support spaces, teacher workroom, small academic support classrooms, small group workspaces, as well as storage and bathrooms. Okay, these are very special spaces. These are what we've called the neighborhood collaborative areas. They are not owned spaces. There's no teacher that owns them. Work spills out. The teachers organize for work to come out from the classrooms. On each floor, there's kind of a maker area. You're standing in one here with power reels from above. There'll be pretty cool flexible furniture that is a good work surface for building things, but then can flip and roll away. So there's the maker opportunities here with cleanup and sink and storage. And then this space with the double height is conceived of as a presentation area. So behind those sliding whiteboards, there will be a technology, there'll be a Promethean board. And the idea is that you could have a small group presenting right there with the whiteboard or the technology. You could have a larger group that spills out onto these plinths. You could have a much larger group that stacks, people at the stairs all the way around. You could get, 75 kids looking out into a presentation. And that was really critical to the ed plan, was this idea of creating, but then also communicating. Also part of this neighborhood collaborative area is the outdoor classroom. Each of the 3 academic wings has an outdoor classroom, which is another space that can be used both for teaching. It'll have a chalkboard, slate up against that wall. It's not in yet. And then kind of a work area for collaborative, messy work. All right, so let's go up. Maybe there's a good moment. Anybody got any questions? All right, let's go up. Maybe you've all noticed, everybody's taking pictures of it. So I think you've all noticed the graphic. There's a large graphic at the end of, within each of the neighborhood collaborative areas. Each wing has a separate theme. This one is inclusion. There's diversity and empathy in the other wings. This is also acoustic material behind this is printed on fabric, and behind the fabric, excuse me, is acoustic insulation. These were designed by our in-house graphic designer. He conceived of these as something that can't be, it's not a poster, right? You're not just getting a message. It's not, you look at it, you read it, you're done with it. This is something that the students are going to live with for a year, while there are 6th graders in this wing. No, 8th graders in this wing. And the idea is that, you can look at it a lot of times and find new things in it and kind of delve deeper and deeper into it with time, and that it unfolds over time. So the teaching communities are set up so that the 6th grade are 2 teacher teams, and students, are within their team like 70% of the day. So 70% of the day, the students are basically between these 2 classrooms doing English and history, doing math and science. And then there's this opportunity for the wall to open up, this operable partition, to open up and do kind of team work and cross-disciplinary work. The 2 teaching walls at the end, and then this is a whiteboard surface for that second teaching wall. Obviously, lots of storage, very similar to the classrooms you saw, a scaled down version of the science space. Okay, we're going to head into the arts wing. I think we'll go into maybe we'll stop in the auditorium on the way.